Stephan, we are back. This time, not talking about dinosaurs. We did that, and we'll do that again. Don't you worry.
We'll do that again.
We will do that again. But today, we're talking about a different animal. Bats.
Indeed.
Which, I sent you this movie cover and description, and I was very excited for this based on the description that is now widely available on Amazon, because this movie is available on Amazon Prime, in which case it says an alien virus that was once wiped civilizations out in ancient times throughout time has returned overnight by a mysterious thunderstorm. You see all that. This is all world
I read
building.
this. I didn't watch a trailer. I don't even know if a trailer was available, but I saw that picture and I read that description and I was like, hell yeah, boys, this is gonna be great.
Alien virus, all kinds of things that I like to hear. Turns out that is not accurate at all and is a completely different movie they're describing.
I'm wondering if that is a movie that exists by this company that they just got the things wrong on, because it's so specific and not what's happening that I have to imagine that's from something. Or was that the intention that just somehow missed the mark completely?
I don't know. And I would love to hear why. Because I have movies on Amazon Prime. I don't know if you do, but there's a process you go through.
Yes.
And you have to put that information in. So at some point, somebody put that information in. Mm-hmm. And either they like copied the wrong description or something, but it doesn't matter, I guess, because we're already past it.
Yeah.
We watched it anyways.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, expectations are one thing. I was expecting a schlocky, fun, weird bat movie.
Yeah.
And I kind of got that in some ways, I guess.
Did we see the same movie?
Okay, so we're going to get into it. So, yeah, but today we're talking about Bats from 2021. Like I said, it is out on Amazon Prime right now, but it is directed by Scott Jeffrey and Rebecca Matthews. And it is about a family that returns to a house that the one woman used to live in like 10 years ago. And there's a large bat creature living in there, and then it kills people.
That's about the size of it. And like, I guess it's a bat creature. Like, it looks kind of like, what is it? Was it Night Flyers? Like a mix of the Mothman and the Night Flyer thing?
Yes.
Like something like that?
It's not quite bat-like. It's got bat features in some ways, but it still doesn't, when I look at it, like if I didn't know this was a movie about bats, that wouldn't be my first thought.
It screams bug to me in most shots. And there's one or two shots that show the wings off like appropriately, but most of the time they're like these bunched up cauliflower looking something or others. Yeah. Like it's very much something that works from only one angle, and that angle is almost never used.
Yeah, unfortunately. Yes. So I'll say this up front. This movie is extremely melodramatic in a way that really just didn't work for me, and kind of made the movie a downer, because I think you can do this in a very fun, schlocky way with a lot of kill sequences and fun gore and just, you know, some mindlessness, but know what you are. But this movie is the exact opposite, where it takes itself extremely seriously.
Yes.
And it rests on all these character moments they're trying to build out with this whole family and this past where grief has struck in everyone, and it just really doesn't land.
No, it's such the opposite of what you want for this movie. Like, this should have been a fun like kill-tacular with one-liners and like, you know, big bat gore and fun stuff, which we got like one example of, and I was like, well, if the movie was more like this exactly here, where something, he uses his screech power to explode a head of only one person in the room, I was like, yes, this is what I'm looking for. And the fact that that scene is in the movie means they know how to make those things like that. I was like, okay, we got like 6 seconds of really fun in an hour and a half movie that's very slow because it thinks it's like a deep drama, but doesn't have the, you know, like, you should know you're in a bat movie. like you can play with having some like real dramatic tones. Like the movie Descent has some great things like that.
Sure.
And then it's still a fun horror movie. This one, like, just, it makes attempts at this grandiose thing that it really doesn't have the ability to pull off.
I don't think The Descent is cheesy in any way, though. Like, I think that was...
No. It did not mean to me, but that's a fun movie with action sequences and horror and this and that, and maybe not the best example to what a low-budget horror comedy would be. But this really isn't. But no, honestly, I'll pull back my thing and I'll say no. It is an apt conclusion because that's what this guy thinks he's making. This is not a horror comedy, which is what it should have been. It is that serious tone of horror. I would say this guy's like, yep, I'm the same ballpark as that movie. Obviously not in budget, but in that field of what the script would be on paper, it would be the same type of movie.
Yes, on paper. And I think that's why basically all the choices made here are subjective choices. Let's go serious instead of cheesy. Let's embrace, and these are choices to me that were made incorrectly. But like I said, they're all subjective. I think if you took another pass or 5 at the script and you had like legitimate actors and a bigger budget, you could pull off the serious nature that they're trying to pull into this movie. But none of it comes together in any way for me in this thing.
No, and I didn't have a big problem with the actors, like, because a lot of it's like the lines that they have to deliver. Yeah. I'm like, well, it's hard to deliver like some of these lines in a way that would make me happy. Like if they were doing zingers and this and that, I'm like, it's a lot more forgiving to a low budget to have like, an on the nose cheesy schlock of a horror movie. When you're going for that such a serious tone, you really have to be fucking nailing it. The script has to be tight. The edits have to be tight. Like everyone has to be on the same page. The chemistry needs to be there. And these people like don't have all those elements to work with to make what this like is desired to be.
Yeah, and it's like right up front out of the gate where we're supposed to feel empathy for this lead because her boyfriend died. And like I don't know who this character is, and we can get to the opening, which is disconnected from the rest of the movie. But it's like I don't care. And then it just keeps hammering home about all this stuff, and it's like I don't care, and I still don't care, and so now it's just annoying. And then we get to like the most egregious sequences, which I'm gonna play one of them.
It's Mom. Look at me. Look at me. Shh. It's all right. Deep breaths, honey. Okay? Deep breaths.
That second cut is comical. Like when it goes that second angle.
It just keeps going too, and it's like, oh no.
It was a chore to watch this movie. Like, and I'm a guy that watches like a lot of bad movies. It's just that it's so not a horror movie. It's so slow. There's not a reason or rhyme for the actions of our villain here. People just get knocked out and it walks away. Like people fall down, it walks away. It gets someone pinned, it walks away. Like there's not this thing here that I'm like, well, what the hell is this? What is it supposed to be? Like the alien element is not there. Like none of that stuff in the description is a part of this movie.
For such a small movie, it's so filled with so many plot holes.
Yeah.
10 years have passed or whatever. This house has been sitting for 10 years, but yet it looks like it had its brand. Like it looks like it's been regularly used and everything. They never explain where the bat creature really comes from. All these, like, there's flashback sequences about this car accident stuff. Like, it's all just random.
There are 3 houses featured in this movie. Like there's where they came from. Like I should say, it starts in the house that our mother of the main character or whatever owns, and like it's teenagers like in that house. Then it cuts back to like them in their house going to visit this house. But all those houses are exactly the same. I'm pretty sure because they have the most specific doorway and architecture things. Like the doors are like just made of like planks of wood. Like it's an Amish village. Like I'm like, what is this?
I mean. Also, everyone's trying to speak in an American accent, and they're not American, right?
So that was the biggest thing that was bugging me out, because the first like teenage girl, I'm like, oh, is she British? And then the guys are talking. I'm like, oh, is he a redneck? And then I'm like, wait a minute, are they? I'm like, what? Where are these people from? Because I definitely for a while was like, let me try to figure. And then I was like, I don't care. Well, it doesn't matter. It does feel like it's in Ireland or something, though.
Yes, it feels like something like that. It looks like something like that, and it's questionable. Like, what? I guess it's like a business choice. Like, oh, if we're speaking in like an American accent, it'll be more profitable because Americans don't want to hear a British accent. Like,
I usually give extra points for foreign accents. I enjoy that more. I'm like, oh, cool. These are proper people. That's where English comes from. Good.
Well, I guess my point is like, you're dealing on a low budget, dealing with like not amateur, but like, you know, not as experienced possibly actors with bigger productions or whatever. You're just making another barrier to this thing.
Yeah.
Right? Like you're making it harder if you're making them speak in a American accent plus be dramatic, because this movie's super dramatic. Like you're just making it so much harder than it needs to be.
Well, it's like whenever you're casting for like, okay, this is a Latino street gang, you already now only can cast people that are of a subsect, you know, of the population. Then you have to find someone who's good in there that also looks the part. And now you have the same, you're setting up this for no reason. Okay, I need people that can do an American accent. So you've cut out, well, actually all British actors can do every accent because they're amazing, it seems. But you know what I mean? Like you're artificially adding problems, and you already seemingly had enough problems.
I will say, I kind of like the soft focus that they do throughout this movie. It doesn't look as digital as a lot of movies do. You know what I mean? Nowadays, low budget movies.
Yeah, no, it wasn't a harm. The choice was fine. I didn't dislike Bat Vision and stuff. It was cool too. Like, it's mainly the plot that's the problem here. Like, I could forgive pretty much everything else if you jazzed it up a little bit.
Yeah.
Or make a movie that's about someone losing their boyfriend, and it's just a drama, because it's like 80% that way anyway.
Well, okay, so let's talk about this opening sequence, in which case there's 3 teenagers breaking into this house. And they set up this really weird, interesting scenario where it's this young woman, virgin, losing her virginity to 2 guys in a threesome. And you're like,
well, it's a one then the other.
But it's weird, right? Like,
oh, it's very weird because it comes off as so creepy. like you have one guy who looks like the like a low budget version of Rob Lowe, and the other guy who's like, I don't know, just skeezy redneck dude who's just like watching and doing his thing, and I'm like, okay, what is going on here?
It's weird.
And it sets up these things which you think is going to be part of the plot. Like, oh, am I only here because you're interested in my mother? Blah, 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 blah. Goes missing. You picture, like, 10 days later, her mom, comes looking for her or something like that. Like, it's the school teacher trying to engage the sheriff into a real hunt for these blah, blah, something. But, like, no, there was, like, better exposition in the thing that's a throwaway than I think there was for, like, the actual show.
When you're writing scripts and stuff, like, you're setting up these open threads because you're making these storylines. You want it to be compelling and interesting. You want the audience to kind of like get invested. And when you're asking questions like this, it is compelling. Like, that's what Lost, that show, did so well the first season. It was like, oh my God, this can go anywhere. But when you just forget about story threads and start over, and it almost seems like it's confusing and like the people don't know what they're doing here.
Yeah,
it's so
it was
distinct.
such a long, cold open thing. Like, usually if you're going to do a horror open kill, it's like, a minute or so. It's just to set it up, get a quick flash of the thing, and it's over. Maybe you have your TNA scene there just to get it out of the way with an actress that's not one of your mains.
If it would have just been the 2 teens and they're just fooling around, I'm like, okay, it's just a, standard tropey horror opener. But because it was such like a distinct, weird thing, it made it seem way more important than it was.
Well, yeah, it made me wonder. I'm like, this was a nuclear issue town. The power's still on. Like, everything seems fine. What? And then, like,
exactly.
Are they the only house in this town? Like, because I don't know. Just a lot of things just seemed convenient and weird. And again, they only seemingly had access to a few homes for this whole, project. So, like, I'm not going to fault them on that. But, like, you can do a better job of, like, hiding things. And if I'm wrong, I apologize, movie. But that door is so specific. It's so specific. Like, and maybe those are more common where you live. I've never seen one of those except for on a field trip to the old stone house.
I didn't know.
Like, the oldest house in New Jersey. It was just, I'm like, where are we, in the Amish land?
I mean, the other thing we're talking about here is, like, the movie's tropey. And that can be a problem, I think, for really low budget movies, because when you're doing like tropes that you've seen so many times, like the monster comes up and sniffs the guy and then backs off or whatever, it's been done so many times. And that's, for me, the problem is because you're like gonna be comparing it all the time to better, exact same sequences, do you know what I mean, from better movies.
Well, other movies are better because there's a reason why it does that or something. And this, it's like, oh, it's killing us because we killed one of its young. It's defending the nest. But then just goes like, you're okay, let me walk away.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
did laugh out loud, and it wasn't a comedy moment when she like when the husband guy falls and she looks, sees like the monster, and then just shuts the door and walks away. And I'm like, she left him for dead. She closed the door and left him for dead. It was that was very funny.
What did you think about this grandma? Because at first I was like, is that the mom? But it turns out it's the grandma who's like the exact same age as the mom.
Well, I don't think they're the exact same age.
She didn't not look old enough to be a grandma to me.
Well, nowadays, who does? I'm often shocked.
That's true. That's actually a good
by
point.
things like, especially if you are a mid to late teen and you have kids, and then your kids do the same thing, you're a grandma at a pretty young age. I won't say any of that was seemed unbelievable. What I thought was the biggest like standout bit for the grandma character was there's a moment where they zoom in on her face. And this is before she's had any interactions with anything, and she's wearing like prosthetics, like things are on her face, like there's like these weird like white makeup bits, and I'm like, I bet that something's gonna happen in the next scene that's gonna pull that away, and she's gonna get like zombie face or something, and then like 2 scenes later, she has acid dripped on her face and her skin's peeling away, and I was like, I caught that. You could see like the white powdered latex like on her like ghostly face.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, some of those effects though were okay. They like
I had no problems with those effects. I actually
Yeah.
like this a lot. Like, you know, just how they did the distress, and you see the bone like poking through the skin and whatnot. I was like,
With her
no,
arm,
that's pretty good. The effects are not the problem, and honestly, even our villainous bat creature itself, that might look exactly as the person wanted it to look. Like, I won't say like maybe that was their vision, and the guy who did the box art is just like, well, this is what I picture, and just does his thing. Because I'm leaning towards the box art one where it's like this bat, like giant, like bat thing, like not a man. Whenever a man is in a costume and it's clearly a human shape, it takes you a little bit out of something. So like you have to build up or take away or make things look in a way that's not just a dude in a costume.
yeah.
Which this does not have.
Yeah, it definitely looks like a dude in a costume. But that being said,
Yeah.
I do think the mask is kind of cool. It doesn't look
yeah.
super cheap or anything like that.
It's
So-
just a little weird, like, the mouth, like, doesn't look like it could actually open wide enough to use the teeth, and there's never a cutaway to, like, a prosthetic head where the mouth
No,
opens freakishly large or anything like that.
Yeah, that would have really sold it. And
yeah.
they when they obscure it in the darkness, I think it works. But they show it so much and
Yeah, it
so
does get
often.
shown a lot.
And when you do that, it obviously starts to cheapen it. You start to notice all the flaws and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess at least they went for it with it.
They went for it. I think they could have saved a little bit of that by, like, have some mystery, not showing the bat creature as much, and have his minion bats attacking people more, or fluttering at the windows, or doing this kind of stuff. And maybe they just couldn't do that. I wasn't sure exactly how that part was achieved. It didn't look like it was a digital effect. It looked kind of like it was just like
Somebody with
bats on
strings,
ropes
yeah.
or something. Yeah. But it didn't look bad. It didn't look bad. That part I thought was pretty good. I just think that some of these creative choices could have gone in a way that would have been easier to do and would have also been better. Like, the less is more.
There's choices being made. Like the intro
A lot.
sequence with like this 80s pop synth stuff.
Yeah.
It's so out of like I'll just play it.
Yeah, well, someone got on Fiverr and they said, I need a jazzy song. I have $38.
That's it. It feels like yes, we have the stock song. If I throw it on there, but it doesn't fit with anything before or after it, so it's just out of place.
No, especially with the tone of this movie, you would have thought like, oh, some like piano with some slight plucking string instrument,
Yeah.
or like an old timey song, maybe something. I don't know. It set a tone though, because at that point you hadn't seen anything else, so like you didn't know that it was against the character of the film, so you're like, okay, what is this? Oh, teen romp maybe? No, it's not.
No, I was picturing like 80s kids on bicycles, like Stranger Things or something like that.
Ooh,
After
that would've been
like
cool.
there was a kids like scene or something that's supposed to be happy, but it doesn't fit in. But then other times, like it feels like they pulled out this disc of horror like risers and hits, and they just randomly input it, like this scene.
and that's probably exactly what they did. Like if you're making now, I didn't research this at all. How many films does this person have under their belt, if any others? Do you know?
No, I think they have a decent amount.
I wonder if this is just a like.
Produced 72 movies.
Wow. Okay.
21 directorial credits.
All right, so I will take back my previous statement. I was going to say maybe they just don't, if you're making a movie and don't understand scoring, you might just drop things in and not have someone go through it. Or if you think you can do it yourself.
Stephan, Scott Jeffrey also went on to make the upcoming dinosaur movie Hatched.
Oh my God. So that one I'm excited about. and I have seen the trailer for that one, so I know I won't be bait and switched by a poster.
True. Yeah, the bait and switch, like, with these low budget movies, there is always, it's really hard to nail down expectations because the poster artwork never matches the movie because it's made by Wild Eye or one of these low budget distributors that has a guy who makes cool posters and it's meant to sell.
Wild Eye in particular is great at making posters that have nothing to do with the movies. And I do appreciate the hustle because you have my money already. And then I'm like, okay, you beat me. That's one for you. At least it wasn't. When it's a creature that's not in the movie, I'm a little less annoyed than when it shows actors that aren't in the movie on the cover. That one always bothers me.
Yeah, but it's I can forgive posters, even though I always fall for it. But it's harder to forgive the description because it's littered throughout the IMDb and Amazon and everything like that. So
I don't know what's up with that.
Yeah,
I would love to hear the story. Because it's nothing to do with that. And if that stuff is somehow implied and we missed it, I would love to know where, like what. Like I wasn't drinking.
Yeah, I don't know. And yeah, it is what it is. But yeah, even changing my expectations when I got into this thing, yeah, it just didn't work. And I think because it's so serious that it's not fun. And it's not like the movie's that badly made. Like I like a lot of the shot choices. No. I think there is an eye here. It's not like it's a very like subdued color palette. It's very desaturated looking because it's supposed to be gloomy, and that can be okay.
That's just how Ireland looks.
That's how Ireland looks. I think if the music matched better, to build the tone better. The sound design isn't very good. A lot of times, there's bad audio and stuff like that. But I can still even forgive that stuff. It's just way too serious. So it's like not bad enough to be good, and it's not good enough to be worth checking out.
Yeah, it's not over dramatic like serious. It's just on the line. The camera, I thought the camera work was totally fine. The only thing that stood out to me as like bad in the camera stuff was a part where a lady gets her fingers bit off, and the next angle chooses a shot that you can just see the fingers. Yeah. Like they made sure to paint up the knuckles bloody to make it look like stumps, but when you film it from this angle, or how can I do it like
you can
this?
See what
like
you're doing.
I can just see the fingers, so that's a problem.
Some of the locations were pretty cool though, like this church and stuff.
Yeah, this is just a nuclear radiated town, so they can just go wherever they want. But all the houses, the church, it all has that same feel of this early 19th century home like business type thing. So it's okay, I get you are in a small town and that makes sense, but let's go over some plot things that cost nothing that you fucked up. Okay, hey, girl sister, you want to go for a walk? Sure, I'm gonna take the car keys with us. Why? Because I drove the truck once or whatever. Lose the car keys. Okay, well, what?
Yeah,
you could have just as easily had them not on the table where you left them, and it would be did the monster take it? Is he smart? Oh my god, I don't know, and it would have been totally fine. Or the car's just dead, or remember to get gas in the morning. Oh, I will. But anything other than I just walked away with the keys and lost them.
Yes, it's sloppy. It doesn't make any sense when you pull at it.
No.
There's a million different ways you can get around that, like you just said. So
yeah, it's just and the fact that the phone there is a phone, the phone works, and your first thing wasn't to call for help. What? That's ludicrous. Cell phones don't seemingly exist in this world, which makes me think.
Well, it's the 80s.
Yes. Oh, that's right. Okay.
And
I will forgive that one. So my next thing was gonna be this movie could be an 80s movie, and it was. All right, so that's my problem.
And I guess that's the reason why. Otherwise, it makes no sense.
Yeah, No, I would have been fine. You could have actually went earlier, and it would have been just as fine because nothing dated this movie at all, really.
Take the phone out of the house and you just make it set in the 1900s. It's like it's 1905.
Yeah, there's no nuclear thing. There's no explanation.
Yeah.
It's just that you are in the middle of
Giant
nowhere
bat.
and a bat creature happens upon you.
I like that better, honestly.
I do like that better. They don't have to use American accents. They could use their British accents, but now you're just acting like it's a colonial accent. So you're still American. There's a funny bit where I always laugh at anytime a character has to like spit up blood or vomit. The old woman just straight up just spits in her daughter's face, just like.
Oh yeah, I did remember that.
And it's one of the best bits in the movie because it's unhideable that person just literally spit in your face. I like, you know, oh, we're getting that in one take because she just spit in my face. We're not doing that again.
He did look shocked when it happened though, so I think it was the desired effect. Yeah.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, off screen they're like spit in her face.
Yeah. There's like very little Foley work a lot of times throughout this movie, if any. It seems like they captured on a boom mic and then just went with it for everything. And if there was no audio, like dialogue, they just kind of faded the sound out and just people walk and interact. There's just no sound. Yeah,
just catch everything actually with the boom mic and just turn the gain up a little bit so you can really hear those actions. Yeah. And again, like that, like those aren't my biggest issues because I'm a person that like I'm one of the few that can forgive the like bad audio. Like I could forgive bad video. I just need a plot. I need you to build an idea, something in my head that I could build off of, and I will run with it. And I will pick up the pieces that you put together, and I will be like, oh yes, this is what they were going for. This is what they meant. This is whatever. But like when you drop the ball with the writing, I can't fix it because I'm like that part was free. Like, oh, I can understand like, oh, we're making a time machine movie and our sets are bad because we don't have a lot of money. We can't really make, you know, the future or ancient times, but we tried. I'm like, okay, you tried. I'll give you credit. You tried.
Yeah, always give a low budget movie credit for trying to be ambitious but not being able to match what they're trying to do. But at least they're trying something new.
Yeah.
But this doesn't try anything though.
No,
it's a down and dirty horror movie with way too many dramatic elements.
It's just relying on the dramatic elements to carry the movie when I don't think the dramatic elements can carry the movie.
Especially when they seem to do a lot better with the gore and stuff like that. Even though the head exploding looked like it failed and they just kind of went with it anyways because there was like no initial blood spray or anything. It just like
I loved
happened.
it. I was totally down with it. It worked out perfectly.
Which looked, if you hadn't seen this movie and you see this scene without audio, you would think this is gonna be a cheesy, silly, fun movie.
Yeah, especially
with the way
like
that played out.
Even if you just like read that on paper, monster screeches, person's head explodes. There's no way to not take that as a cheesy, fun thing. Like, and that's what your whole movie should have been. You should have just wrapped up these effects. You could have added in a few more things. Maybe the town's having a autumn harvest and the bat creature just kills hundreds of people and we just have a good time.
Yeah. But then you shoehorn these like flashback sequences and it's just like I just kind of want this movie to end. Sorry. Yeah, didn't work for me. Sorry.
Do you recommend Bats?
I do not recommend Bats. But you know, we're being hard on it, but like I said, there are a lot of positive things about the movie too. I don't think the acting's that bad.
No.
I don't think the effects are that bad. I don't think it's
I like the
badly.
effects actually.
I don't necessarily. I've seen some reviews on IMDb say the bat is horrible looking. I don't think it's horrible looking. I think it's just overused. So
it's not a bat.
It's not
so
a bat.
Like, if you came into it looking for that bat on the cover, yes, it is not that at all. It is a completely different thing. But like for what it is, I think it is fine and serviceable. But if I'm gonna watch Bats, I'm gonna watch Lou Diamond Phillips in Bats, and I'm gonna have a good time.
Yeah. Okay. That's it. That's it for Bats. It's out now on Amazon Prime. If any of this sounded interesting to you, go check it out. If you have seen it, let us know what you think, and we'll catch you here next time. Bye-bye.